Today, I'd like to share with you a practice strategy I've come across recently that's helped me in a few passages that were giving me a hard time. I've nicknamed it doubling, and let me tell you how to use it. Are you sitting comfortably? Then let's begin. Hi, this is Tommy with Tommy's Piano Corner, the place for returning pianists, or indeed anyone who loves piano, to share tips and ideas of how to get the best from this great hobby. If it is your first trip here, please do think about subscribing. Simply hit the little icon in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen now, and it's all done for you. Regular viewers know that I've always been on a bit of a mission to find ways of improving the way I practice. I mean, my theory is the better I get at practicing, the more valuable the limited time I have to spend at the piano becomes. Personally, I don't find the idea of just slow it down works for everything, and certainly doesn't help me fix all the issues that I come across whilst I'm trying to work through a piece. And I released a video quite recently on the importance, I think, of finding as many different ways of being able to practice something as we possibly can, so we avoid putting all of our eggs into one basket, so to speak. And the strategy I'd like to share with you today I've called doubling, and it's useful where both of the hands are doing something relatively similar whilst we're playing. As some random examples of where this has become really useful to me, I'm going to show a few pieces I've been learning recently. So there's a passage in Sibelius Romance where both hands are basically playing chords and alternating between chords. There's another passage in the same piece that's a sort of cadenza, if you like, and there's a point where both hands are playing octaves. And then I've been working on Chopin's Etude No. 3 in E, Tristesse, and there's a part where you've got a lot of intervals that are mirrored in each hand. I'm sure you get the idea of the kind of music that this might work with, and you'll probably have many examples in the pieces you're learning. Whilst I've practiced these different passages in a variety of different ways, I did find that adding on this idea of doubling really seemed to help me solidify what I was doing. I also found an interesting way of supercharging this doubling idea, and I'll share that with you at the end of the video, so stay tuned. So what I mean by doubling is that basically we repeat each set of notes twice, which is probably easier to demonstrate than it is to try to explain. So let's have a look at the Sibelius piece first. As you can see, it's basically sets of chords. So what we do is we practice by playing each chord twice. With the octaves, it's also fairly simple that we just basically play each octave twice. And then for the Chopin Etude, we basically repeat each of those intervals twice. What I found by doing this is it seems to reinforce not only our muscle memory, but our visual memory and our intellectual memory at the same time. And it gives us that little bit of extra time to think about the notes that are coming next and how we're going to get to them. And of course, we can combine this strategy with that of using smaller segments. So for example, those octaves, rather than playing the entire run of the octaves if we find it a little difficult to do, we can do it an octave at a time to start with. Similarly for the Chopin Etude, we could work on two different sets at a time. I find this is a great way of simplifying things for us, and it allows us to work on smaller bits first and then gradually add those bits together before we get to the thing end to end. And this is something I talked about in the video I released about sections, which, to be honest, I think is probably the one practice strategy that's the most useful, yet seems to be the less talked about. And now for the extra little tip I promised about how we can supercharge the way we use this strategy. Now, I'm sure you've come across Rachmaninoff's Prelude in C sharp minor. Whether you play it or not, I'm sure you'll have heard it, and you'll know that cadenza-like passage in the middle. One day I was practicing those chords I was talking about before in the Sibelius piece, and as I was doing it I thought to myself, actually I wonder if I replicated that Rachmaninoff cadenza pattern here whilst I'm doubling the notes, if that'd help as well. So I tried it out and I did find it really useful. And I also found it works equally well in that Chopin segment from the Etude number 3. The reason I think this works so well is that because this departs from the original notes so much, it makes us think really hard, and it certainly interrupts our muscle memory. And this can only be a good thing sometimes, in that it makes the other bits of our memory work that much harder. One of the reasons that I like to do this type of practice tip video is that whilst tutorial videos on a particular piece are great, I mean, I've released a few myself and I regularly watch them as well. But what I find is that when I do a video like this, obviously I'm going to focus and be biased towards the thing that I found most difficult in something, and I might gloss over things that other people find tricky to do, because we're not all the same, are we? We've got different playing histories and we find different things easier and different things more difficult. And having a variety of different ways to practice allows us to apply these kind of tips to whatever piece we're learning. So I invite you to take a look at my practice tips playlist, and you'll see lots of different tips for different kinds of situations that I'm sure you'll find extremely helpful. If you're not already, then please do subscribe to Tommy's Piano Corner. Don't forget to hit that little bell icon so you're notified of new videos as and when they're released. I thank you very much for watching today and look forward to seeing you very soon.